So you're probably following crypto, maybe tired of just the headlines and want to get the real story right efficiently.
Absolutely. And today we're really digging into Bitcoin SV, BSV versus the original Bitcoin BTC.
Yeah.
We've got some interesting material here showing how differently they've branched off. BSV split from Bitcoin Cash, which itself split from BTC. Different paths.
It's a big divergence. BSV claims it's all about getting back to Satoshi Nakamoto's original vision.
Right, focusing hard on scalability,
Hmm.
massive transaction volume, real-world uses.
Which is pretty different from BTC's current image as, digital gold.
Totally different.
So our mission here is to pull out the key stuff. How BSV tackles privacy at scale, its whole economic model with miner fees, and the big technical choices, especially block size. Let's jump in with anonymity.
Okay, first thing, neither one is truly anonymous. They're
I
pseudonymous.
mean,
Think of it like a public username and address. Transactions are public, linked to that address, but not automatically to your real name.
that link can be made, right? Exchanges need ID.
Exactly. KYCML on exchanges, reusing addresses, plus, well, blockchain analysis tools are getting really sophisticated. Remember the Silk Road case?
Yeah, that showed it's possible. So what about BSV's claim that with like millions of transactions, you just get lost in the noise? Does that create privacy?
Well, that's the argument. High volume makes tracking harder, more expensive.
Yeah.
But the pseudonymity is still there. Tools improve.
And BSV is aiming to be regulation friendly.
Right. That's a key point. It suggests more built-in identity links, maybe even future rules requiring miners to help identify people. So high volume helps obscure things, maybe, but it doesn't guarantee anonymity, especially against determined actors. It's a different goal than pure privacy coins.
Okay, makes sense. So not really anonymous. Now, what about the money side, the fees? BSV wants super, super low fees, fractions of a cent. How does that keep miners working?
The core idea is volume. Massive, massive volume. Even a tiny fee, multiplied by billions of transactions daily, could theoretically add up to huge revenue for miners.
Like the hypothetical Amazon example using it.
Exactly. Or there was that report of a huge 2 GB block on BSV where the total fees collected actually beat the block subsidy reward.
Wow.
And they argue this fits the Bitcoin white paper's plan, where fees eventually take over from the subsidy.
So it's a bet on enormous scale.
A very big bet. Low fees require a massive adoption for the network to remain secure long-term. If that volume doesn't show up,
Then the miner incentive might be too low. Security risk.
that's the concern, yeah. It's a high-stakes gamble compared to BTC, where the limited block space is expected to drive fees up over time to compensate miners.
Different bets entirely. Volume versus scarcity.
Precisely. Which brings us neatly to the architecture and that huge difference, block size.
Right. BTC kept it small, originally 1 MB, a bit bigger now with SegWit, aiming for decentralization. Anyone can run a node, basically.
Or that's the ideal. BSV went the other way. They increased limits, then went to essentially unlimited block sizes determined by miners, the Genesis upgrade.
Part of that whole block size war fallout.
Exactly. They argue you need huge blocks for massive scaling and putting all sorts of data on-chain, not just payments.
So BSV can handle way more transactions per second. What are the actual numbers?
They've shown really high TPS in tests, hundreds, maybe more. But day-to-day on the main network, the average block size isn't always gigantic. There's potential versus current reality.
And the downside of huge blocks.
Centralization is the big worry. Running a node that processes gigabyte blocks needs serious, expensive hardware that prices out smaller players.
So fewer full nodes verifying everything.
Potentially, yes.
Mhm.
And the blockchain grows incredibly fast, making it hard for new nodes to catch up. There's more reliance on SPV, simplified payment verification, which has different trust assumptions.
Okay, and BSV isn't just about money transactions, right? They talk a lot about data.
Absolutely. They see the blockchain as like a global data ledger, using things like op return to store data hashes, maybe links to off-chain data, or even small bits of data directly.
For what kind of stuff?
Enterprise data integrity, supply chain tracking, maybe scientific data verification. Competing with databases in some ways, you store a hash to prove data hasn't changed. You could encrypt the main data off-chain for privacy.
Data integrity sounds good, but availability, storing huge amounts of data forever with tiny fees. Who pays for that long term?
That's a really good question. The incentive model for storing massive, low-fee data blocks Indefinitely is still debated. It's a very different vision from BTC, which really prioritizes keeping the main chain focused on financial value transfer.
So wrapping this up, what are the potential economic futures here? Two very different paths.
Well, if BSV succeeds, you could see it enabling micropayments at scale, maybe powering complex enterprise systems, competing with Visa or MasterCard because of low fees and its regulatory angle.
And BTC?
BTC seems more settled into the digital gold store of value role, with layer 2 solutions like Lightning trying to handle the smaller
What's
payments.
in reality right now?
The reality is BSV faces adoption challenges. The association with Craig Wright, the centralization concerns, it hasn't achieved that massive volume yet. BTC has the network effect, the brand recognition, despite its own fee and scaling issues.
So they're really aiming at different targets. Comparing them directly is tricky.
Very tricky. Their success hinges on proving fundamentally different ideas about what a blockchain is for.
Okay, so the big takeaway. BSV bets everything on massive scale, low fees, and data utility, needing huge adoption. BTC focuses on being decentralized digital gold.
That sums it up pretty well. And it leaves us, and you listening, with a big thought. Which path seems more likely? What drives success here? Tech, network effects, regulation, something else? It's definitely something to keep watching.